Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Yes, we are live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel here. Day 2 of NFL free agency. Vikings did one thing yesterday. The incoming list is a lot shorter than the outgoing list at this point for the Vikings. James Pierre, 2 years, $8.5 million yesterday. And today has been pretty quiet, but we did have a little bit of information movement finally on the quarterback front for the Vikings. So we'll dive into that. It's Quarterback Watch 2026
Football.
here for the Vikings. Just like it's Punter Watch 2026 and Holder Watch now.
Don't forget holders. Don't forget holders.
Are you ranking the top 10 free agent holding options here? And are
might
any
do
of
that.
them not punters?
I might. You know what? I was mocked on Twitter about how unimportant the holder is.
Oh, what? For a franchise that
Who
is
cares?
stained with missed field goals, high leverage missed field goals?
I got a note that said, like, 3 notes. Would you have paid Ryan Wright? I'm like, no, but holder's still important.
Yeah, you're gonna have a holding competition. I would run 3 guys out there. I'd have 2 punters in camp, and then like Max Brosmer can practice holding, and you can put them all together
From the
in
practice
OTS
squad?
training. Yeah, well, if he's a good holder, maybe you find some space, teach him how to punt. Before we get into the latest here on Kyler Murray, Judd, how about the latest on MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air for us?
That sounds like a fantastic idea. And let me tell you, the latest is this. The latest is what they were doing last month. They have carried over into this month. That's right. February continues. And that means that MSP's longstanding commitment to the community has allowed them to run this campaign each winter. The campaign includes giving away a free furnace to one lucky person. What you do is you book a $49 furnace tune-up, and you'll be entered to win a free furnace. That's right. Brand spanking new. To book the furnace tune-up, just give them a call, 651-615-4292, or check out their website, callmsp.com. No purchase necessary. Open to residents of the MSP service area. Must be at least 18 years of age and void where prohibited. Again, call msp.com for all your plumbing, heating, and air needs.
Also, shout out Park Dental. If you are a free agent and you're looking for a new dentist, you just signed a contract and you got all your plates spinning right now. You got to find a house. You got to find a dog sitter. You got to find a dentist in the Twin Cities. And Park Dental is here over 50 years cleaning and caring for teeth in Minnesota and Western Wisconsin. And they likely have a location within just minutes of wherever you live or work. Many practices open at 7 a.m. conveniently for you, and most are open until 8 p.m. at least one night a week. And they also accept most dental insurance plans. So check them out, parkdental.com, to schedule your checkup. So it's an aggregation world, and we're all just living at it here. And sometimes what happens is these NFL insiders will go on TV and say something, but it doesn't make it to like social media. And if someone didn't clip it, so what we're dealing with here is Evan Sidery, known aggregator in the NBA and NFL world. He was watching Ian Rappaport on NFL Network, who apparently said that the Vikings will meet with Kyler Murray tomorrow once he's officially released by the Cardinals. There's been some questions because the Cardinals don't have to release Kyler Murray until like the 5th day of the new league year, and it's been all quiet on the Cardinals front. They haven't like done a big grand announcement yet like the Dolphins did. So to me, if this is accurately portrayed here, they do plan to release him tomorrow when the new league year hits at like 3 Central Time. And the Vikings will meet with Kyler either via Zoom. I don't know that this is taking place in person, but they will have an actual conversation versus back channel conversations for the first time.
So this is intriguing because if I am correct on this, Tom Pelissero, our former colleague, who is now Ian Rappaport's colleague at NFL Network, he reported a little while ago that Kyler was going to more take his time possibly and explore his options because being the first overall pick in this draft, he's never been a free agent and he hasn't gotten this opportunity. So I guess my first question is he just going to meet with the Vikings quickly and sign? Or are the Vikings in part of like, I don't know, Let's say there's 3 or 4 teams that want to Zoom with Kyler. So the timing to me is at least in question a little bit because these reports, and this is not the end of the world, but they're a little bit contradictory. All of that being said, I think if you believe this is going to go by the numbers, Kyler does meet with the Vikings. I mean, he's met with them. Let's not kid ourselves. But he meets officially with the Vikings, and he signs quickly, if this goes like we expect. But as we talked about with Thor today on Football Takes, it feels like things might not go exactly as expected. Doesn't mean Kyler wouldn't come here, but Tom's definitely left the door open to something that I think is intriguing, which is sort of the opportunity to talk to, let's say, the Steelers as well.
Yeah, who would be the other teams right now? I mean,
Colts,
not from Kyler's
Steelers.
Perspective, yeah, but like just logically. So Colts, Steelers, I guess the Jets could still be in play.
Now I did see something right before we started that Geno might go back to the Jets. Which I mean,
what a reunion for the ages there.
And why? Like you've been there, dude. The ownership has not changed. Why would you do that? Why would you want to go out the way that you came in? Which, by the way you came in was miserable, and you proved to be a better quarterback, much like Sam Darnold, than that. But I would say I think this Daniel Jones Colts thing might get weird. Like the fact that we found out that dude was trying to extort, rob, like $50 million a year from the Colts. I mean, the Colts are pretty well run now, I think. So just to say, oh, you know what? Here's the transition tag at what, $36 or so million. Just sign this and we're all good. I mean, I don't know on that one. That one feels weird. And then Pittsburgh's just a wild card. Like we just don't know.
And Pittsburgh is kind of reportedly still waiting on Aaron Rodgers, who's always very mysterious this time of year. People walk on eggshells around him. In the meantime, they did trade for a wide receiver, Michael Pittman. So now they have DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman for whoever steps in to play quarterback there. But yeah, I mean, I guess the most consistent line of reporting over the past couple of weeks, and even information going back to like the Combine and the Super Bowl, quite frankly, is that from Kyler Murray's perspective, he wants to play for the Vikings. So if the Vikings are equally interested, it's kind of weird that they would. I mean, I'm fine with them meeting, but there's been maybe like unofficially a conversation or two happening. Like you kind of know what you're getting into. So it is a little interesting that this has progressed the way that it has when like Tua has already. It's like, I'm going to the Falcons. No need for a Zoom call. You're left-handed. Great. We want a left-handed quarterback, and you want a new place to land over here. So I'll say this, like, just to turn the conversation in a different direction with Kyler. If it's Kyler, we can debate his flaws and we can debate his potential fit, and maybe we can even do more of that here on this episode. But Kyler Murray at 28 years old and the peaks that he has shown you in the 6 or 7 year career in Arizona for $1.3 million is no hyperbole, one of the most high value potential signings in the history of free agency. Because like most of the free agents that you would sign are market value or an overpay. Mm-hmm. Like you want Tyler Linderbaum? Cool. You have to pay $9 million more average annual value than the current highest paid center. So you're getting a good player, but you might be paying for not as much productivity as he has given you, and you're overpaying relative to market. In this case, even with his flaws, Kyler Murray is one of the 15 to 20 best quarterbacks in the NFL when healthy and not given a completely toxic, coach about to be fired environment. And you're getting him for a $1.3 million flyer. So from just a value standpoint, to have a Kyler Murray in the room and J.J. McCarthy, if he sticks around as QB2, for a total of like $7 million in cap in a league that's up to $301.2 million for team cap figure is crazy value in that quarterback room.
The only thing I think that's intriguing then is, what do you get from Kyler? Because I think if you get a good year, I think you sign him long term, and McCarthy's done. So the other thing is the Vikings have to bet right here, because as we talked about on Football Takes, who got the bag?
Not a bag.
This is relevant. It's
Yeah.
relevant. Interesting.
Kirk?
It's
Close.
a trade. It's a trade.
Okay.
It's a trade? Oh, it's
Yeah.
a trade.
It's a
Okay.
trade.
Okay, talk to me.
The Raiders are sending Geno Smith and a 26th seventh-round pick to the New York Jets in exchange for a 2026 sixth-round pick. So Smith is back in the place that Judd Zulgad said literally 4 minutes ago, why would you ever go back to?
So they're taking on his contract.
Well, yeah, what are they doing?
They have cap space, right?
I
mean,
know.
they signed
but-
a bunch of players, but so
Why?
they're taking on his $26 million base salary. Yeah, his it's a $26.5 million base salary. And I guess if you're the Jets, not exactly a place where willing quarterbacks are going to choose to play, especially for like 1.3. If you're Geno and it's offset language, and you could choose to play for a bunch of teams for $1.3 million. What can the Jets do to sweeten the offer to you? And the answer is pay you the $26.5 million that's owed to you in base salary.
Well,
the Jets are paying a tax, I think,
Yeah.
if I'm reading this right, to bring Geno Smith in as a transition bridge quarterback.
The Jets.
The Jets.
The Jets. I mean, Aaron Glenn's probably gone regardless at some point here, but what a futile existence. What a completely futile existence the Jets lead.
Okay, well, this is a massive development because of the quarterbacks available and the names that the Vikings have been tied to. Geno Smith has been up there, and listen, I've been standing for Geno Smith myself here, just
Yep,
not
I
from a
agree.
standpoint of like he's going to save the franchise but just that like Geno Smith, especially in good infrastructure, is better than people think. I don't know that he's going to be getting that good infrastructure going from the Raiders to the Jets. So good luck to Geno. At least you're going to get $26.5 million to sunset your career. But that's another name off the board and probably another step forward for Kyler Murray to eventually wind up with the Vikings, right?
So we're down to Kirk Cousins and Kyler as far as guys who have been cut or will be cut. And Kirk Cousins, and like I said, Kirk Cousins, who is scheduled to, I believe, be paid $10 million by the Falcons, correct? He supposedly wants more than that. So like he won't, I don't think that Kirk is going to voluntarily sign the $1.5 million and take 10 from the Falcons. I think Kirk wants above and beyond that, which would leave Kyler. So here's the intriguing thing. Okay. Kyler to the Vikings makes more sense than ever, but the musical chairs is not done yet. And now the Jets is filled, and I know they're a joke, but it's still filled. But again, to go back to, if the Colts decide to get off Jones, the Steelers, the Vikings, like we now have, I hate to say this, we now have things are falling into place a little bit more for Kyler, as far as saying, hey, you know what? I got some choices.
Bag getter update. Romeo Doubs, the Packers wide receiver, heading to the New England Patriots, a 4-year deal worth roughly $70 million, sources say. We'll see what the guarantees are there. It's probably not too high, but...
Which agency brilliantly put together that crafted tweet for
Rap-
whoever the reporter was?
You'll see it.
Yeah, Rap Sheet said the roughly $70 million, sources say, but did not credit the agent yet. So we'll see who gives the brilliant agency that credit.
By the way, Schefter on McAfee today, he definitely hears the chirping about. I think Schefter despises being associated with like the Florio poking about you're just doing the bidding for agents. It's true, but I think it bothers Shefty. So he went on McAfee today and said, yeah, that Mike Evans deal from yesterday, you know, the initial figures that were being put out made it seem like a much bigger contract, you know, whatever, $40 million or whatever it was, $45 million over 3 years. He goes, it's really like a 1-year deal with 14 or 15 million guaranteed. And then the other money is kind of just for like cap purposes.
okay.
And so he made a point to clarify that that is kind of agent driven over here. But I am a noble, neutral reporter. And I will tell you what the actual deal is.
Too late,
Mike
Shefty.
Evans.
You sold your soul already. Don't worry about it. It's over. It's over.
Jordan Schultz weighing into that Geno Smith had real interest from the Vikings, but the Jets were able to get it done.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is unless there's something that we are missing here. The Raiders took this up to almost midnight basically with his contract because they didn't want to be on the hook for the $26.5 million base. And I don't know if there was like a bonus that was going to be triggered. Sometimes there's like a roster bonus. I don't have his full contract in front of me. But the Raiders decided we're going to cut him unless somebody wants to jump in and trade for him. And any team that was interested in Geno Smith at $1.3 million likely wouldn't be equally interested for $26.5 million unless you're desperate and you're the Jets. And the only way you could, if Geno hits the open market and he's choosing between like the Steelers, the Vikings, the play for the Chiefs for a month, and then Mahomes comes in and you can win a ring or something, or go back to the place that tormented you and derailed the beginning of your career. The only way he would do that is by force. And that's what happened. Like he doesn't have like a no trade clause. So I'm assuming they ran it by him and he's like, whatever, I guess. Like if I'm going to make $26.5 million, great. If you're going to give me my base salary for the season, maybe they're restructuring it in some way. I don't know, but it's really interesting.
And what's funny about that whole thing is earlier today on the McAfee show, Schefter, so McAfee rightfully so said, why are the Cardinals being a-holes? Just let the guy just announce his release so Kyler can go sign like here. And Shefty brought up, now it's not apples to apples because the contracts are very different, but he brought up the fact that the Cardinals have no incentive, in part because they're hoping a desperate team calls them and trades for Kyler.
100%. Like, and we laid some of this out in conspiratorial fashion on Football Takes, but what I had told you guys is after missing out on Malik Willis, the Cardinals might have decided, well, my God, I mean, we got a bunch of cap space. What if we just keep Kyler for another year? He's better than any other option that we would probably bring in with a new head coach, whatever. But the other thing would be what you just said. Why not just chill on it until at least 3:00 tomorrow, maybe even a couple days later? And if a team's like, oh my God, like if you're the Vikings right now and your other options are flying off the board, right? Maybe you were interested in Geno. Geno's gone. Kirk goes to CBS or the Steelers or something.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, who's got the leverage? The Cardinals. But it would all have to play out pretty quickly here in the next couple days because they do have to cut Kyler, I think, within 5 days of the league year ending. And I do think this is all tracking toward him getting cut tomorrow, and you'll probably have news before the end of the day that he's a Viking. But
the Geno contract is palatable. So, and the Jets are awful. But that contract is like, if you trade for that contract, you're not submarining your cap at all. Like the Kyler contract is enormous. So, and that's where I think that because Kyler's due what still, 36.8 million guaranteed for 2026, and I think Tua was at 54, and I think that's where the Dolphins are like, okay, just screw it. Like, ain't nobody gonna trade for Tua owing him 54. So I think it's all in sort of like where you line up as far as what you're going to have to pay a player.
Yes. So back to Kyler for a second here. We've done a lot of kind of weighing the good and the bad on him. My specific question for you guys is 2021 too far back to even pull from in the NFL world where things move so fast and careers can change so quickly? And like, remember when Russell Wilson was on the block a few years ago and he was still like, he was being talked about as one of the 5 or 7 best quarterbacks in the world.
We wanted him.
We were doing episodes on this show. Would you give up 2 first-round picks for Russell Wilson and like that version of Russell Wilson? And, he was also 5 years older, maybe 4 or 5 years older than Kyler Murray is right now. But like, boom, actually the cliff was there and he kind of went off of it. I don't think Kyler is close to an age cliff, but there's been some injuries and whatnot. Yeah. Is 2021, which was his benchmark season, is that just like an unrepeatable pipe dream at this point? And he kind of is the quarterback he's been the last 3 or 4 years? Because in 2021, and he had plenty of weapons, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, AJ Green, Rondale Moore, a young Rondale Moore.
Yeah.
Rest his soul. Zach Ertz was on that team. They won a bunch of games. They had the momentum rolling until like December, but he finished that season with the 5th most deep pass completions, 20-plus yards in the air, behind only Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. He had a 99.2 PFF grade on passes that traveled 20-plus yards in the air. Since that season, he is dead last in expected points added in balls that travel 25-plus, 10-plus. He was number 1 in the NFL in big-time throw rate, number 3 in completion percentage, number 6 in yards per attempt by pretty much every measurement in 2021. Kyler Murray was one of the 6 or 7 best quarterbacks in the entire NFL. And it has slipped and gone the wrong way since then, with some peaks and valleys. But like, is it fair to even say, oh, if you bring him in at 1.3, the Vikings could get him back to that 2021 form, or is that a non-starter conversation?
Non-starter for me personally because of the injuries. So in 2021, which I believe we were by the 17-game season by then, correct? He played 14 games. Then in 2022, 11 games. Then in 23, only 8 games. Then in 24, he did come back and play all 17 games and started them all. But then in 25, 5 games. And I think his style of play, I think what you have to sort of do is look at his age in what would be the equivalent of quarterback years / dog years. Because he plays a style where he gets hit. And so he's 28 on the board, or at least 2025 was his age 28 season. But it feels to me like, as far as the abuse, he's probably 33. And so, like, if you could you maybe get what you had in 21 if he hadn't had a bunch of injuries? Maybe. But I just think it's a long shot to think that he physically can do the same things now, because he has had such a variety of different things that have kept him out of games because of injuries.
Yeah, I'm a Judd too. I think it's a little too further away, and he got off to a really nice start in his career. Obviously, like even in 2020, the year before that, he was awesome. I think probably the better question is can he be more of the quarterback that was in 24? Right? I mean, 21 touchdowns, 11 picks, 93.5 passer rating. He obviously used his legs a ton, scored 5 rushing touchdowns, was mobile. Is he closer to that version? Because in 2021, those first 12, 13 weeks that Phil documented, the Cardinals were awesome. Like, the Cardinals were legitimately everyone's kind of favorite fun Super Bowl team. I know that sounds crazy now 5 years ago, but they got off to, a 10-2 start. They beat the Vikings that year on that hilarious fluky, or if not fluky, Greg Joseph missed field goal at the end of the game.
That's right.
So that Cardinals team got off to a great start. Then he has the ACL. But in 24, like, if you just told me blind resume, would you take this quarterback play in 2026 from the Vikings quarterback? Take this or open the mystery box with Peter Griffin? 21 touchdowns, 11 picks, 3,800 passing yards, and a 93.5 passer rating. Do you take that and just say yes? Because I think I would take that right now. So can he get back to that form? Is he that guy? Then I think it's a more realistic conversation of how he fits here.
I've been going back and forth on this too, and I talked to Thor about this extensively on Thor Talks Purple. Of course, you can find that on the Score North network as well. But the other thing is, there's this notion, and I don't think that we buy it, but there's this notion that, okay, Murray, what's being sold is this. Kyler Murray is going to, if he comes here, he's going to compete for the starting job with McCarthy, to which we keep saying, what? How? But let me articulate it out, okay? So you're telling me that you might sign him, and let's say he's cool with it. I don't think he would be, but let's just say he's like, okay, cool, I'll compete for the job. Phil, you go to training camp practices a bunch too. Those things now are timed out, so like you can only go so long. 2-a-days are long gone. It's 1 practice per day. And you're telling me that you're going to have a true competition, which means first team reps for both QBs. You're going to have a true competition with first team reps being split between 2 guys that desperately need first team reps. And my example was this. A year ago, and we sort of downplayed this because we didn't think it was a big deal. And in retrospect, I think that we were wrong. Justin Jefferson gets hurt. I think it was on the second day of camp. He strains his hamstring. And wisely, the Vikings are like, okay, we're not going to risk this. But then, late in the season, we all said, boy, it's too bad that J.J. McCarthy and Justin Jefferson didn't get more time together, time on task, as Kevin O'Connell likes to say. So if you're going to go to Kyler and you're going to sign him, in my opinion, you need to get him time on task with the first team, like a lot. Like not, hey, today we're splitting the reps and you're taking half and I'm taking half. So I don't understand in 2026, how do we arrive at that this could be a competition? In my opinion, whoever works with the first team is going to need to work with the first team. You can get the other guy some snaps, but you certainly can't split the reps.
I don't think it is a competition if they sign Kyler Murray.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you?
No,
do you
I don't
agree?
either. But what I'm saying is they're trying to sell it as that, and publicly
They'll have to stop that once the Judd's camp notes of the world start tracking first team reps and OTAs, though. I mean, I think it'll just be obvious, right?
But I think there's way too much pressure to try to rebound from a disappointing season than to say, you know what, we want to give McCarthy a fair shake, but we told Kyler that he would get a fair shake too. You need that offense, and not in the fourth quarter, week one, but in the first quarter, to be humming as much as possible. And you get it humming by making sure that practice features a quarterback with a first team, not multiple quarterbacks.
I think let me add a couple layers to this. If the Kyler thing comes to fruition, this is a different scenario than bringing in a 35-year-old Geno Smith or a 38-year-old Kirk Cousins. In those cases, you're threading a needle where you're trying to improve the floor of your quarterback play. You're trying to bring in a guy that could start if needed for an entire season and could maybe, with the right defense and weapons around, could guide a playoff run. And also could be defeated in a camp battle by McCarthy and lead that, and it's like this tightrope you're trying to walk, and they kind of tried to walk it with Daniel Jones a year ago, and they just failed. They stepped on the tightrope, and they're like, I think we got, he's coming back, right? Oh God. And they fell off in the first 3 steps. And so I think in this case with Kyler, you wouldn't even step foot on that tightrope. It's a different scenario. It is a 28-year-old who has been a top 10-ish quarterback and a former number 1 overall pick talent-wise, that you are essentially for 1 year, or at least 1 6-month stretch here leading into the season, and then you can kind of see where the chips fall after you get a look at him, you would be prioritizing him over J.J. McCarthy without booting J.J. McCarthy totally off the island. So you would be saying, well, pretty rare that we get a chance at a guy like Kyler. We have to pounce on this. JJ, you've got a list of things to work on. And by the way, you can improve at these things without first team reps. Some of the things on your list have nothing to do with whether you're facing the number 1 defense or the number 2 defense. Obviously, if you're facing better players, it's going to force you to be more on point with your decision making, your mechanics, and your reads and all those things. But let's get rid of some of the funky mechanics. Let's lock in our footwork. Let's lock in a mastery of the route concepts and all these things. And let's get you just even reps with the second team are valuable when you're in the spot that he's in at age 23. And you see what happens in the next 12 months. I think some people are already, and I can sense it a little from the sports dad, wringing your hands over, well, what if Kyler plays really well? Or what if McCarthy doesn't get first team reps? And I say, those are problems to worry about. If Kyler plays well and you have a resurrected 28-year-old former number 1 overall pick who goes Sam Darnold mode 2 years later, and you have this 23-year-old 10th overall pick also waiting in the wings, that's a great problem to have. And you figure out a solution come February or March of 2027.
And my wringing of the hands, which I am firmly doing, is the fact that my trust has been broken with the Vikings. It's a great problem to have if I think the Vikings can solve it correctly, but I don't trust them. Their attempt to thread a needle was such a spectacular disaster that I now have questions about. And maybe there's a new GM and he comes in and he's the Tim Conley, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, you got this. But I have concerns, great concerns right now, not about what they do immediately so much as how they go about the whole process. In my opinion, the process has become very flawed. And so now what I want back is trust. They've lost my trust.
How can they regain your trust?
Well, first of all, don't try to kick the ball into the fairway. Second of all, they can regain my trust by showing.
Which is great. Don't discredit my foot wedge here. That's how I golf.
Hey, dude! Again, just like with McCarthy missing a practice and you taking paternity leave, you don't make millions, okay? You can cheat all you want at golf, and quite frankly, you take time off. Sonny deserves that. Now, if I start to write you a check for $1 million, we'll talk about your time off. But anyway, what they need to do to regain my trust personally is they need to show me that they have an organizational competence of how to accomplish not just where they want to go, but also the development of the quarterbacks. McCarthy deserves blame, and I am here to say that I agree with that. He deserves some blame. He does not skate on what went wrong. But do I think that it's solely his fault? No. I think he was mishandled enough, starting with O'Connell, who I trusted a lot more previously, that I have some concerns here. So that's where I'm more wringing my hands, because it feels like we're going back into the same bin that I thought that we were out of. And I don't know that that this regime has the answers that I thought they were going to have.
But Kyler, to me, he's like a separate bin that doesn't exist in the NFL. It's not like it's kind of the Darnold bin, but Darnold did not have anywhere near the high-end success in some spots that Kyler Murray had. I mean, Kyler Murray has put up crazy productivity at times in Arizona. Darnold had not. And Geno, before he went to Seattle, had not. And like Baker had some success in Cleveland, but to get access to Baker as a starting quarterback, it was like $30 million, like by the time Tampa Bay got around to him.
Yeah.
And so to get access to a guy that is still a couple years away from turning 30 at $1.3 million on a flyer, they've already, if this happens, to me, they've already at least moved past where they stumbled last year. Like last year, they didn't even have, it took them until the third day of the draft to get Sam Howell as their backup.
Yeah.
And so at least like to definitively set that room with a couple talented dudes in the middle of March and have a plan now for the next 6 months leading up to week 1 is miles ahead of where they were a year ago, in my opinion.
I agree with that. And also, my problem here is not necessarily like a Kyler problem. It's a Vikings problem. And they like we called this from the outset, they so screwed the pooch on the Daniel Jones thing. And then publicly, it became very clear the Sam Howell thing, which I think we questioned from the outset. That I now have questions about, okay, how are you going to make this work now? Not just for 26, but into the future as well. So like I actually am, my wringing of the hands is not like, oh my God, the quarterback. It's how it's handled. Mm-hmm. And it's the fact that the Vikings have given me no reason right now to trust them. So I feel like I'm back in the, I feel like I'm back 10 years ago now, which is, do you know what you're doing?
But what's the solution then? Like, I get your lack of trust. And by the way, like I know I'm poking at some of this because
no, it's fine. I agree.
Because I want I want you to say like what you would do, I guess, or what is the solution here? Your skepticism is valid, and I agree with a lot of it because they tore down some of the equity that they had built up as a quarterback school. Right. I agree, but it almost sounds like like all of these things make you just like, nah, it's not even worth bringing in Kyler because they're going to screw it up, is what I hear you saying almost.
What I'm saying is I don't think they know what to do, what they're doing with McCarthy. I don't trust that Kyler is a good fit for an offense that the play caller likes to call, but he is intriguing. And so my question is, number one, if you bring in Kyler, you totally have to adapt to what he does best. Like, this is not on Kyler. Kyler is not a mystery. Kyler is not like, oh man, I watched your tape. I thought you were big arm. I thought
some of it's on Kyler to like.
But
right, there's a reason why Arizona is peace outing on your
right. But you need to come to his. But you now, if you're going to take the chance though, like you're at the sale and you are picking up the day old bread, and the day old bread is the day old bread. And if you're going to go home and butter that sucker up, you better know what you're doing here. So like this is the thing you're taking on. It's not like Kyler it's not like the Cardinals are like, oh no, he was really good. You don't get it. We're just done with him. So there's a lot of confusion here, I think, about, okay, is this going to work? And it just feels like we're repeating a process. And what I would like is I would like to have a trust in the organization that they seemingly know what they're doing. And right now, I feel like it's just like, we got to win next season. Let's do whatever we can to win next season, which is great if I think you know what you're doing to win.
And last point on this, again, Declan has a Mac Jones update for us here in a second. But I feel like the organization and the way we felt about it, Kevin O'Connell, the offensive staff, was very credibly working with more senior level quarterbacks that had been around for, whether it was Darnold. I mean, hell, even like Nick Mullins was throwing for 400 yards as a backup in this system because he could speak the language and he understood apparently the
till he went crazy
calculus level. Well, he's a backup, he's Nick Mullins.
He also thought he was Brett Favre, and just because he's from the same town does not make him Brett Favre.
But what they would be doing with Kyler is, okay, let's go back to the bin of, even if he's not as tall and stylistically he doesn't play the same way as a Kirk Cousins or a Sam Darnold necessarily. Let's get a guy that's been around for like 7 years, has read a defense 80 different times as a starting quarterback in the league, and understands as a veteran what goes into that position. So I think Kevin has a much better chance to work well with a 7-year vet in Kyler Murray than a young quarterback who's 23 years old and doesn't speak the language in the way that
I guess that's unfortunate too, because I always thought he'd do great work with a young QB, and I might have been wrong about that.
What? It's one example to this point. It's just because that's also the difference here is that you rule him out completely from ever working with a young quarterback again, and I'm like, well, that was a ding on your resume, but okay, maybe it just didn't click.
Maybe the next top 10 pick you won't screw up.
Dex, what is the Mac Jones update? The Mac Jones update desk.
From all the Vikings fans' favorite insider, Diana Rossini. She says, a few teams have called the San Francisco 49ers about quarterback Mac Jones. But many interested around the league describe their price as, quote, astronomical in terms of what San Francisco is wanting back for Mac.
Yeah.
I think it's a first. I legitimately think they're starting with a first-round pick.
I think you're right.
Which has kind of been my stance since like December when he was still playing for San Francisco and Brock started to come back.
Declan got that right.
That they're not just going to like give him away for a second or third. Yep. And if you're a team that really wants him, you're going to have to give up a first-round pick, which, and if teams don't want to do that. Like I also don't fault a team that says that's way too much for 8 good starts in an incredibly awesome system in San Francisco. But I bet it's a minimum first-round pick, and probably more if it's astronomical for Mac Jones.
Yeah, well, if you think about it from their standpoint, because the Vikings just got a third-round comp pick, a year later is how that works, for Sam Darnold walking and signing with the Seahawks. So if Mac Jones remains the Niners' backup and doesn't play a snap all year, does his value go down, or does his value sort of hold at the place that we last saw him playing pretty well for 6 games? I don't know that there's a great example of that out there, but he would almost certainly, if he never played another snap for the Niners but just stayed parked as a backup, he'd probably sign somewhere for like $20 or $30 million a year to be a starter a year from now, right?
Right.
And if that happens, the Niners would get a year after that likely a third-round comp pick.
Right.
So if you're them right now and you're saying, well, we think we can win a Super Bowl. We also have a quarterback in Brock Purdy that's a little banged up once in a while. So what's more valuable for us if we're trying to win a Super Bowl in 2026? Is it like a third-round pick now from someone so that we can get some value for Mac Jones? Or is it Mac Jones break glass in case of emergency as our starting quarterback for a month and a half, and then we pick up that third-round comp pick a year later? So I don't think he's worth a first-round pick. I would never pay that when I could pay $1.3 million for Kyler, or hell, just go get Kirk Cousins as a bridge guy for a year and then draft a quarterback in 2027. But if you're the Niners, you should demand a first or a second-round pick for Mac Jones. It makes sense.
And plus, you've got So this would be point one of times to shop Mac, right? So like, why would you start off with a third round pick now? Because it's the draft, it's right before the regular season if there is a Bridgewater like catastrophe, and then maybe the trade deadline as well. I mean, I think you should probably try to get a first or second round pick. Because if he walks out the door, a third round pick's great. But if you can get, I mean, if you, let's say you started a first, which it sounds like they're definitely doing, and you come down to a second eventually, and right before the regular season, you're offered a second round pick. Or heck, at that point, a team might be desperate enough to do the Bradford trade and do a first round pick.
Absolutely.
Like that's when it makes sense. So like, why start low now? It makes no sense.
The Bradford example is a good one because he was the backup quarterback in
job.
Philadelphia. Yeah.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
But he had put up enough. I think he had probably put up a little more productivity to that point in his career than Mac Jones has. But yeah, you wait. There's no reason if you don't get the offers now.
Don't need it.
Wait till someone gets all desperate right before the season starts and go from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this actually makes sense. I think the San Fran's had some problems here and there, but I think overall they're pretty damn well run.
They are, and they can. That's another good example too. Maybe it helps quiet some of the angst and hand-wringing over, like, if McCarthy is a miss, and I don't believe you can say that yet. People would disagree. The 49ers had an even more epic whiff on Trey Lance because they traded like multiple first-round picks to move up. It's like smart organizations are allowed to whiff. It's a really hard game to evaluate quarterbacks and draft prospects, and you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to make bold moves, and they're not always going to work out. And like when you look at the John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan era in San Francisco, it's like a 10-year arc now. Mm-hmm. It's definitely not perfect, and they haven't won a Super Bowl yet. But they've been to two of them, including one of the worst whiffs in recent front officing with that Trey Lance move. So if McCarthy is a miss, will that be the blip on the radar like Trey Lance was for San Francisco? And it's like, oh man, there was that one thing, but everything else was really good.
Right. But
or is it a sign that things are eroding permanently and regime change is on the horizon in the next year or two?
But if the trade up to get Trey Lance had not been accompanied by the fact that with the last pick of the draft down the road, you got Brock Purdy, we're talking about that a lot more now. Like that's the thing is as Fran Foley during his brief tenure with the Vikings said, your player procurement process has to be really good. So if you screw one up, you can get someone else. The Niners did exactly that.
Bag getter?
I'm going to wait for figures on this one, but we picked a good time to go live with quarterback-related news here, boys. So there's a really interesting quarterback contract report from Jordan Schultz and others I'm sure will spill in. I'm going to wait for actual figures here and remind the audience that on Thursday night this week, so in a couple days, we're going to gather for our next Purple Daily Unplugged event at Black Stack Brewing in St. Paul. We did this a year ago on the same Thursday of free agency week, and it was a blast just hanging out with you guys, Vikings fans, the Purple Daily faithful. So it's open to the public 5 to 7 p.m. at Black Stack on Thursday, and we'll do a live podcast. We'll take your questions. We will recap whatever is happening here in the next 48 hours. And the first 120 people to show up get a free Purple Daily Black Stack pint glass. You can find out more info, or if you just want to like screenshot info, send it to your friends. purpledaily.com/unplugged. Come hang out with us from 5 to 7 p.m. on Thursday night at Black Stack. Crybaby Craig's also powering this live episode during free agency week, Dex.
Yeah, that's right. Crybaby Craigs. Go to crybabycraigs.com too. You can get actually exclusive variety packs that you can only find at crybabycraigs.com. Yes, you can get them in your grocery store. I've seen them at liquor stores, and you can put it on everything, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm yearning for the fact, boys. It's like 30 degrees right now. I just found this epic photograph from the fair with me on the YouTube on screen. I'm showing it right now. That Crybaby Craig's jug of hot sauce that I dream about every day. I put it on everything we ate down there at the fair. Go to crybabycraigs.com. Get up on the variety pack, the hot honey. There's plenty of different options. Find them in grocery stores too. Go to crybabycraigs.com.
And then shout out to Minji Digestive Health couple things. One, you don't have to live with digestive problems. You can get solutions to those problems, and that's where Minji is a nationally recognized leader in gastroenterology diagnosis. Also, if you are on the 45 plus side of the audience, do not put off your colonoscopy appointment. A Minji colonoscopy is the gold standard of colon cancer tests. It's the one test that both detects and prevents colon cancer. So schedule a visit, Minji.com, that's MNGI.com, and put digestive issues where they belong, in the past. Okay, so according to Jordan Schultz, or did he delete this? He might have deleted this.
Well,
Dan-
there
the
has
Daniel
been,
Jones,
just
the
quickly,
Daniel
Phil, there
Jones
has
thing.
been a lot of conflicting reports on what Romeo, all the insiders. In fact, people are kind
gone.
of dunking on the insiders of the Romeo Dobbs contract, 'cause 4 of them all had it different.
Yeah, but Jordan Schultz did delete the Daniel Jones tweet. I'm checking it myself.
You saw that? Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got it
Jor-
right here. Yep.
Yeah, read the deleted tweet.
Okay, it says breaking. The Colts and quarterback Daniel Jones are in agreement on a new contract per multiple sources. The franchise QB in Indy has a long-term deal, cash bag. But then when I hit the tweet now to look at it, it says nothing to
gone.
see here yet.
Oh,
Do you think he has these preloaded and he fired the wrong one?
You know,
man.
that's a great point because he does them with like nice player graphics.
Yeah.
So he has to, right?
Or he probably has someone that's running social media
Okay.
while he does the information.
Yeah,
So
sure.
someone probably fired the wrong tweet.
yeah. I know, like
Good
John
call.
Boy, for example, after the trade deadline will pass after a week, they'll then release all their unused graphics. Because like they'll make graphics like in
That's awesome.
preemptive mode. So I bet that's probably what happened for Jordan.
Yeah. Okay. Jordan Schultz, update. Colts and Daniel Jones have made progress on a long-term deal, but have not finalized anything as of right now.
Jordan.
According to sources, both sides remain in contact. A couple more things on Geno. So Kevin Seifert, our buddy from ESPN.com, with the Geno Smith trade to the Jets, the Vikings appear to be the big favorite for Kyler Murray. Would imagine Kirk Cousins could become an option as well. Doogie was told, by the way, on the earlier episode of Purple Daily, that the door is still open both ways, Kirk and Vikings.
Yeah.
Feels like it's not option 1 for Vikings, but
Right.
it's a thing. And Geno Smith sent a text to one of these insiders.
I think he
Rap
sent
sheet.
it to all of them because Breer had it, and then a couple minutes later, Ian Rappaport had it.
The same thing.
Yep, same thing, word for word.
Text from a pumped Jets quarterback, Geno Smith. Complete full circle moment back to where it all began. I'm excited to connect with my new teammates and coaches and everyone in the building, as well as build a new relationship with the fan base and the community.
What are
and
you doing?
I'm really thrilled that I will be given $25.5 million instead of something less.
What?
He didn't
I
say
just-
that last part.
I've lost a lot of respect for the man.
What, you have respect for him? He didn't, I
Geno.
don't think he asked to be traded to the Jets.
I would have. Oh my God. I don't know. I mean, it's just that there's what's improved since he left. I mean,
It's worse, isn't it? It's
yeah,
probably
Aaron
worse.
Glenn is a dumpster fire of a coach. He's falling asleep at the combine.
Who was Geno's? Darnold had like Adam Gase,
Gase.
and
Frank Reich is the
Todd
OC
Bowles.
there now.
Yeah,
in
Frank
in
Wright,
New
who
York.
loves your guy Carson Wentz still.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
was it? 2013. So Geno came in. Oh, he caught the end of the Rex Ryan era.
Okay.
He was
Okay, so you're right.
Rex
It's
Rex
worse.
for 2 years, and then Todd Bowles, and then they replaced Geno with Sam Darnold. I'm pretty sure.
Wow. So you're right. It's
Sam
worse
Darnold.
Right.
Sam Darnold. Yeah.
because Rex was not nearly as bad as this.
There's also a report from. I'm sorry, I can't credit specifically because the timeline's moving so fast, but a couple people in Jets Mediaville that are saying keep an eye on Carson Wentz,
Yes.
Jets QB2.
Yes, that's been out there
Yeah.
for a couple of days because despite the fact that things didn't work out in Indianapolis, Frank Wright loves Carson Wentz. And I think they were together also with the Eagles.
Okay.
Because Frank, I think, worked under Doug Peterson with the Eagles.
So because wasn't Schefter reporting a couple weeks ago, keep an eye on Carson Wentz to the Vikings and also another veteran quarterback, which always seemed odd. Like, okay.
Yes.
Are they,
he did.
is McCarthy QB3? Are they moving on? So it would seem right now, it would seem like the odds are Kyler Murray QB1 Vikings.
Yep.
JJ McCarthy QB2. Would you rule out, like, the Anthony Richardson stuff has been awfully quiet this week?
Mm-hmm.
Could that percolate sometime later on this week or early next week?
Sure, it could. Yeah, that would be. It just feels like, I don't know. It feels like with McCarthy, you've got your hands full. Probably. Like, I want them, if they think that he can play, I really want what you talked about, Phil, which is full focus there. So I'm not sure I want to pile up a bunch of jalopy quarterbacks right now and like try and fix them all. I would really like to see a QB3 like the guy that was here at the end of the season. What was it, John Wolford? Just some guy that can play if you absolutely are up against it. And then I would still like to see, if you think McCarthy can play, I would like to see you get him to a point where his mechanics or whatever don't scare you anymore. But that's just
I have one more question off what you just said, and then obviously we'll have plenty more to dive deep on if and when they actually do make a quarterback move.
I got a thought after that, but yes.
Okay. And then I have a follow-up thought after.
Because I got some notes.
Dex has one too.
I got some hodgepodge Vikings notes. Stuff we're sleeping on.
Okay. We're not going anywhere. We're live. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button here on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. Right now, Judd Zulgad GM, you get one choice or the other to make 17 starts in 2026. JJ McCarthy or Kyler Murray?
Oh, I'm GM right now, and I get this. JJ McCarthy. Because here's why. We've talked about it. 27 draft class is fantastic. Unless you completely screwed the pooch on McCarthy. Because as you've said 1,000 times, he's made 10 starts. So unless you just screwed up beyond belief, and if you have, we have much bigger problems than McCarthy. I would give JJ the chance to start, and if it goes well, awesome. Mm-hmm. You know what? First year was the second year was sort of a fluke. It was unfortunate, but we're all on the same page now, and he can play. If he's not good, I draft another quarterback. Now Judd Zulgad, GM, might make some changes in the coaching staff at that point.
You fire Kevin O'Connell?
I would need, look.
Before the season?
No, not right now. I would let him coach the year with McCarthy. But my point is, if I'm in charge, I think I would start McCarthy based on the fact that I want to see what you have. It's worth it to me.
Yeah. I would not. Yeah, I understand what they're doing with Kyler. If they do it, totally get it. And it kind of feels like a no-brainer. If you can't talk about wanting the most important room really in sports, which is the quarterback room, to be better, and then be like, I don't know about Kyler Murray for $1.3 million. Like, you do it. But I also am very, very McCarthy curious still. I just saw enough flashes in 10 games and feel like a more calm offseason where he now has 10 games of reference points to bring to an NFL offseason and things to get better at. I am very, very curious still. So however it works, I'm curious to see where the football gods kind of guide this between Kyler and JJ McCarthy over the next 9 to 12 months.
Now, unfortunately, though, to go back on your scenario, I didn't get the job because I told the Wilfs my plan. And they're like, Kyler Murray's out there. We're going to get him for cheap. Fans love Kyler Murray. We love Kyler Murray. We're fans. And I'm like, okay, guys, I can't work for you.
Yeah, they are. They do get very like nervous and panicky, and they should operate with some urgency. But this is one of those decisions where, like, in the short term, it feels like to a lot of people, Kyler Murray is the obvious he's the solution to all the problems, and not enough people are remaining open to the 23-year-old quarterback who showed flashes being that solution for the next 8 to 10 years. The fact that a huge percentage of Vikings fans and probably people in that organization find it laughable that J.J. McCarthy could still be a long-term answer is part of the problem to me.
Yeah.
I understand some of the skepticism. I'm not saying there's a 100% chance that he pans out. But to completely shut that door feels like a bigger mistake than rolling with him a little longer or keeping the door open a little bit longer, even as a QB2 who's there if Kyler stumbles.
And doesn't going to Kyler also just feel like a repeating of a process that, I've seen for 35 years now, you guys have seen for really a huge portion, aside from like Culpepper and Cousins of your fandom. Like it feels like we're just going down the same path again and again and again and again.
Well,
and it gets frustrating because you're like, at some point in time, can you draft one and develop them? That's the thing is, we don't like to use the term develop. We like to use the word, can you draft them? And then they just step in.
Yeah, if you draft them, it's like an instant. You open the box and it's like a 28-year-old MVP steps out of the box. Like, no.
Yeah, it's like if Dex and Kelsey said, you know what, Sonny? All right, you're good to go right now. We're sending you to college.
You might be.
And he's like, but I'm a
Smart
baby.
kid. It's a smart
Like
kid.
draft and development.
10 hours
Birth and
last night
development.
was awesome.
Am I not right? Birth and development.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, sounds
Like
a
you're
good
not throwing
brain.
in the towel on the kid because he poops
I don't
his pants.
I don't adopt an 8-year-old, revitalize his career for a year and then give him to another parent. I don't do that.
Turned out he came from the Shanahan family.
Yeah, Jordan chimes in here in the comments. Going down the same path again would be like signing Kirk again. And where the Kyler thing is different right now, they're both kind of Kirk was like in his late 20s when they originally signed him.
Yeah.
The biggest difference is when they signed Kirk, immediately the first contract was this historical ironclad 3-year guaranteed market-setting contract.
Right.
He became, I think, the new highest paid quarterback in the league or like one of the top 3, and it was fully guaranteed, period. There was no like discount period on the Kirk Cousins era. Kyler, you get to test drive for 1.3, and you get to sort of have two guys that you can monitor in that room with Kyler and J.J. McCarthy for the coming months.
And the expectations are wildly different. Like Kirk literally was brought into a Super Bowl team or a team that had just gotten to the doorstep before spectacularly failing in Philadelphia. But, I mean, Kirk Cousins was supposed to be it. Like, that was supposed to be the ingredient. Kyler, you're literally just trying to rebound from a quarterback calamity. Because to his credit, and I did agree, and I will always agree that they should have moved on from Case, but Case had, for the most part, a spectacular season.
Well, you know what's funny about that? Like, you're right. Kirk was deemed the final piece. He's the answer. He's the mercenary that's going to come in here and take this team to a Super Bowl. And that was the perception and the reality because they had gone to the NFC Championship game. They had won 13 games. They just needed some more stability at quarterback, they felt like, and they had a top defense. But could you also argue that the Vikings, who had a top 5 defense last year, one of the best defenses in the league for 2 years, they've got weapons all over the place still. Jefferson, Addison, you're going to bring in a running back of some kind, which we could talk about too. You got your left tackle, your right tackle. You got some studs on this team, and you have one of the 5 best defenses in the league. You did miss the playoffs last year. But that if you were trading for or signing Kyler Murray for like $35 or $40 million, wouldn't that be deemed go time? Like if Kyler if Kyler's contract that you were taking on either via free agency or via trade was $35 or $40 million, it would be deemed as go time with this team. So the fact that he makes $1.3 million instead makes it not go time. I mean, the stakes are lower because if it doesn't work, you can just move on from it, unlike the Kirk Cousins contract.
I feel like it's recovery time for the position.
I feel like it's recovery time and kind of go time. When you have a top 5 defense and Justin
but
Jefferson
18 was
and Christian
really go
Darrisaw,
time, dude. 18, we thought window wide open. You can win a Super Bowl like this season, and so they paid him like that. I feel like this is much more of because they do have talent. We got the boat out, but we're definitely on choppy waters here. Where in 18 felt like it was much smoother, and then of course it turned very choppy because it turned out the head coach couldn't get along with any quarterback. It wasn't just Case Keenum.
I'm just saying that the size of the contract kind of warps the perception of what's supposed to happen the next season. Because you could make a very strong case that Kyler Murray's resume as an individual player leading up to him joining the Vikings, if it happens, is a better resume than Kirk Cousins' resume in Washington before he joined the Vikings.
Yeah, although Kirk had played consistently until he joined the Vikings, right?
Like in terms of health?
Yeah, like Kyler being
Yeah.
hurt so much
I'll give you that.
directly impacts how I feel about him. Again, if you were getting the guy from 2021 at that age and that health, I'd have a totally different perception of this.
Yeah.
But of course, he would not be making $1.3 million. He'd be making 40 or whatever it was back then.
So I think we'll see in like maybe 24 hours. We'll maybe have more clarity on that front. But what are some other things in your note collection over there?
In my note collection here on my
Is Johnny Munt in there?
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Thanks for stealing my thunder.
Sorry.
Bring him back, okay? A year ago, we lost Johnny Munt. And by that, I mean to Jacksonville. And, Kevin O'Connell.
Which is
the same thing.
In most seasons would be pretty much the same.
So in the Vikings' defense, I think O'Connell probably tried very hard to keep Munt. And the Jaguars came along. And for what he did, his skill set, he got the bag. Well, yesterday the Jags are like, you know what? Give us some of the bag back. You're done here. So he's out there. And look, I am not saying Johnny Munt comes here as TE1. Not saying he comes here as TE2. But let's get him back where he belongs. ET, go home. TE3, Johnny Munt, okay? A guy that you can trust, a guy that can catch passes, a guy that can block. I mean, if you go Hawkinson, Oliver, Munt, dare I say that you just look west to the Rams and you see Declan's use of 13 personnel with 3 guys that you totally trust. Bring them home, make them comfortable. Johnny Munt, come home.
I'm all for Johnny Munt coming home. I know Johnny Munt was kind of a punchline for some people, not for this show. This show from Judd's camp notes understood the importance of Johnny Munt. Are we projecting the 12 and 13 personnel usage on a head coach that doesn't actually plan to do that, though?
Maybe, but you know what? Him as the third tight end, if you go with 13 at times or 12, that's awesome. But Johnny Munt had proved, if you look at his statistics here, that Kevin O'Connell carved out a fairly significant role for TE3. So no matter what your intentions are, he gets used. And this team, I mean, O'Connell ran how many guys through last season, right? Trying to find those guys. Johnny Munt is a perfect depth tight end for O'Connell, who I think we now know loves routine. He loves what he does. Takes a nap at 2 o'clock every day, and Johnny Munt's his third tight end.
That nap is key. It's
Don't put down the nap.
No.
I love naps.
Yeah, for reference, I mean, the Rams became tight end extremists this year. They ran 3 tight end sets, 30% of offensive plays, and they had, at the end of the year, they had 5 tight ends on the roster, including Nick Van Etten, who I think they claimed from the Vikings,
They
right?
did.
If I'm mistaken.
Yep, good call.
But they had, in a given NFL season, there's around like 1,100 or so offensive snaps in a full season, 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, somewhere in there. And the Rams had 4 different tight ends play at least 400 snaps for them last year. So they were using 3 all the time, 2 all the time, and I don't think they ever used 4, but they had 4 in rotation between Tyler Higbee, Colby Parkinson, Davis Allen, and then Terrence Ferguson. So I don't know. I still feel like this is a Purple Daily wish list item that we're trying to manifest, that Kevin O'Connell isn't really planning on doing himself, but we'll keep banging that.
Oh, that part of it, yes. But I do think that O'Connell's wish list includes the return of Johnny Munt.
Yeah,
but yeah,
even if they don't plan on, because even when they were much more 11 personnel heavy, they would still find a way to mix in Johnny Munt.
And Hawkinson and Oliver both have a tendency to miss time, or have had. So let's just say I wouldn't want Munt as my tight end 1, but he could certainly go a few games as the second tight end. He's a multifaceted, multi-talented veteran player. Okay.
Yeah.
I sound like his agent.
Yeah.
Negotiated by Judd Zolgad.
Deal done by Sports Dad.
What else is on that list? Anything else? Or are we good?
Tim Peters here does not like our show at all. This show is terrible.
When it comes to analyzing the Vikings. Well, that's a problem. If the show is terrible when it comes to analyzing the Vikings, that's kind of the whole point of the show.
That's an issue.
Tim,
They are more than likely paid by the Vikings to sell the players they pick up, not to analyze their actual talent. I don't know. I feel like some people think we're too negative on this show.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not being paid, clearly, with my stance on poor KO, who I do think had a rough season. My second note is this. I think I briefly touched on this in our football takes, but I think the Vikings should take a serious look. Thank you. The show's awesome. I think the Vikings should take a serious look in the center bin at Elgton Jenkins, 2-time Pro Bowl guard for the Packers, played center last year, was injured and was just released. I think he is 30. And I'm not saying it has to be him, but a guy I would like them if they're not going to draft one who they trust to start. I would like them to have some depth at center, and I think bringing in a veteran one who doesn't break the bank. So I'm not saying like a Ryan Kelly contract would definitely be a good idea. And Elgton Jenkins, who I'm sure, like a lot of former Packers who come here and want to stick it to his old team twice a season, might jump at the opportunity.
It's Elgton. Put some respect on
is it
Elgton.
I thought it was
Elgton Jenkins.
Oh, I looked it up on Pro Football Reference. I thought it said just Elton.
Elgton. There's a rogue G in there.
I know there's a G in there, but I looked it up. I thought I had it right. I would like to apologize. Well, you know what? Bring in Elton and Elgton and have them compete for the center job.
Yeah, he's mostly been a starting left guard for the Packers, and to your point, he wound up playing exclusively center last year, and especially in pass protection, PFF loved him. He had like a 75 plus pass protection grade.
The one grade's not great,
but like the Vikings have major questions at that position. I strongly feel like they're going to roll in with what they have and maybe a rookie, but by the time like the second and third wave of free agency kind of play out, there's going to be some bargains to be had, especially once you start getting into like interior offensive line and safety in some of these less valuable positions.
Thor in our conversation brought up a good point on football takes about the center position is so cerebral now. I just think it's a lot to put on a young player. Like you're making line calls.
Kyler's not a young player.
Okay, I need Kyler to concentrate on playing, okay? I just would like to have a veteran. Like, there's just so much that goes in now with how sophisticated the defenses are. So I guess if we go back to your earlier question to me, which had me as the GM, I would be saying we need to bring in a veteran. And I want I'll continue to pound the table for Blake Brandel as my swing guy. Because guys get hurt, and I think he's a good swing guy. And I think that we have seen it is hard to be a good backup offensive lineman at multiple positions. And Brandel, I'm not saying he's great, but he's good enough to get by. And that's what I need.
Yeah, and on one last thing on Elgton Jenkins, of the 41 qualified centers in the NFL last year, PFF had him as the 7th best pass protecting center. And he's like 30th out of 41 in run blocking. So,
according to Pro Football Reference, the pronunciation is capital ELL hyphen small TON.
So Elton.
Okay.
No, so the
you
G
don't
is
pronounce
silent.
the G.
The G is silent.
Okay.
How dare you come into my
I'm
room
sorry. I
as
thought
I'm holding
announcers.
meetings.
I swear announcers call him Elgton Jenkins.
Well, they probably do. Guess what? They don't do the work Sports Dad did. Just because they don't prepare, like, you know what? Just because
it's Kenny Albert,
Kevin Harlan,
the starting center for the Packers,
Ian
Elgton
Eagle
Jenkins.
Well, it would be Jonathan Vilma, not, and you got the center there, and there's a pause. There's like a 3-second pause.
Mark Tauscher,
Jenkins,
he
doesn't. You know, Kenny, this is football, and when you're playing football, it's just hard-nosed. It's Sunday afternoon. You're out there with your friends, just really, really having fun on the gridiron. Back to you.
He literally, like, that pause thing, I wasn't just poking fun. That happens about 7 times a game where he'll be like, and the left guard.
Just paging through his-
Zolgad, like, because he doesn't know who it is and he has to pull up
he
the
does
chart
know.
again.
That's so bad.
He does no work.
Yeah, he probably makes a decent amount of money for just
Bring back
being
Baldy.
Jonathan Vilma.
Bring back Baldy.
Baldy
I
was
miss
on the
Baldy.
NFL Network
I know.
thing yesterday.
He's got
His little baldy fingers.
They try very hard with the camera to avoid that hand.
Just a twisted mangling.
I
of
remember when he
fingers.
used to be like, and it would just be all over the place.
Some bones coming out of different directions. Anything else on there you want to? I mean, we got plenty of time tomorrow too.
No, I think
I know
I'm good.
people have asked about. I saw a couple people asking about running backs in the comments. Keaton Mitchell was one. So Keaton Mitchell was one of the backups for Derrick Henry in Baltimore, and they are not tendering him a contract. If you're looking for a home run hitter, super interesting on Keaton Mitchell. He ran a 4.3 40 coming out of East Carolina. Small guy, 5'8", 185, 190. And he didn't have a huge workload in Baltimore, but he was prone to breaking long runs, 10-plus, 20-plus yard runs with the Ravens. Doesn't do a whole lot else. Like, he's not like a pass protector guy as much, so kind of a small sample size, but he averaged 6.5 yards per attempt in 121 carries over 3 years in Baltimore. If you're looking for kind of a bargain bin potential home run hitter once in a while,
Okay.
it's a guy to keep an eye on.
I wonder if they're going to draft one high.
Well, Thor tomorrow is going to go, not to spoil Thor Talks Purple, but people asked, what would it take to get up high enough to draft Jeremiah Love?
That'd be interesting.
And they are going to do that on Thor Talks Purple tomorrow.
That would be very interesting. That could be a fun offense.
Yeah.
Provided QB doesn't crap himself.
And provided the coach calls run plays,
Yeah, but besides that, it's perfect.
Everything's
Besides
great.
that, everything is great. For all you people who think I'm a negative Nelly, everything is perfect.
You are negative, Nelly.
Yeah, I know. I just...
What? So is that okay? Maybe I'm out to lunch. Is it Keaton Mitchell or Keaton?
Well, this is where we go to Pro Football
Football
Reference.
reference.
And they've got the pronunciation
It is the
guide.
best about that.
Am I 0 for 2 on these pronunciations?
Well, the worst thing is you corrected me.
Okay, this is worse. There isn't one. So there isn't one. Right? I don't see one here.
Maybe it might just be Keaton. I thought it was Keaton Mitchell.
If it's... No, it looks like it. Yeah, there's not one, so I would
I feel like when Thor would go with the Sam Darnold.
Yeah, Sam Darnold.
That's the
Don't let
worst.
those-
There are certain why is that? There are certain names that you just get stuck in your head. Mine was for the longest time, way back when, Marion Gabrick. I could never remember if it was Gabrick or Gaborik.
Gaborik.
And I have no idea why. It didn't make any sense. It was so stupid.
Well, we'll work on our pronunciations here. I specifically will work on my pronunciations.
I wouldn't really worry about it.
And if you're new here, you've been starved for Vikings content here in the offseason, welcome in Purple Daily, 365 days a year of Vikings takes, entertainment, fodder, arguing. Hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, the like button on this episode. If something, a Grenard trade or something big breaks the rest of the day, we will jump back in. Otherwise, we're strapping in for tomorrow. O-line committee is going to be live, I believe, still at 3 p.m. Central Time. So we'll get our guys, Jeremiah and Alex, in the mix to talk NFL free agency. So check us out over on the O-line committee YouTube channel in about 40 minutes from now, or Apple, Spotify if you're catching on demand. So, all right, dudes.
Bring him
We'll
home.
get some clarification on these mispronunciations, and we'll report back tomorrow.
Johnny
here on
Munt. I know how to
Purple
pronounce
Daily.
it. Bring him home.
Johnny Mundit.
Moot?
Get him where he belongs.
Johnny Munt.